Have you ever felt as though your voice is becoming quieter in the lives of those you love? Perhaps you feel a sense of loneliness, or the weight of a few regrets from years gone by. Today, it is easy to feel like a victim of circumstances beyond our control. We often let family silence or the natural shifts in our health dictate our inner peace. However, Marcus Aurelius reminded himself of a vital truth. He wrote, "Remove the judgment, and you have removed the thought, iam hurt. Remove the thought, iam hurt, and the hurt itself is removed." As a simple illustration, imagine waiting for a phone call that never comes. The silence itself is neutral. It is only our judgment that labels it as rejection or being forgotten. This video will share the core Stoic principles and simple practices to help you filter your thoughts. Please stay with us until the end to discover how to protect your inner sanctuary. If you are ready to reclaim your calm, please type, "I choose my response," in the comments below. The first foundation of a peaceful mind is understanding the difference between what happens to us and the meaning we give to it. In the ancient world, the Stoic teachers spoke of something called the discipline of assent. This is the idea that every event in our lives passes through a gate in our minds. First, there is the raw information, which the Stoics called an impression. Then, there is the second step, where we decide whether to agree with the story we are telling ourselves about that information. This second step is known as giving your assent when we are at peace. It is because we have learned to be a careful gatekeeper. We do not let every impression in without checking it first. We do not automatically agree that a difficult event is a tragedy. Instead, we pause. We look at the facts. We realize that while we cannot control the world, we are the absolute masters of how we interpret it. This principle is the key to dignity and steady calm, especially as we navigate the changing seasons of our lives. In our modern world, this principle has become much harder to practice. We live in an age of instant connection, where a lack of contact is often felt as a personal insult. We have been conditioned to believe that being loved means being constantly reachable. When the phone remains silent, or when a message is left without a reply, we feel a deep sense of unease. For many of us who have spent decades caring for others, this silence can feel like a judgment on our worth. We start to believe that we are being forgotten or that our presence is no longer valued. We equate a digital blue checkmark or a returned phone call with our level of importance. This habit of overthinking creates a heavy burden of stress that the Stoics would say is unnecessary. We are suffering not from the silence itself, but from the story we are building around that silence. Let us look at a modern situation to see how this unfolds in daily life. Imagine it is a quiet Tuesday evening. You have sent a warm, thoughtful text message to a family member, perhaps a child or a grandchild, just to let them know you are thinking of them. You see that they have read the message, but 2 days pass and there is no reply. The house feels a little quieter than usual. You begin to ruminate. You might tell yourself that they are being ungrateful for everything you have done. You might worry that you said something wrong, or worse, that you are simply becoming a burden to them. By the second night, your heart is heavy, and your sleep is restless. In this moment, the silence of a phone has become a physical pain in your chest. This is a common experience, but it is one where we have given our assent to a story of rejection before we have all the facts. When we analyze this situation through the eyes of a Stoic, we see two distinct things happening. There is the raw fact, which is that the screen shows no new text. Then there is the judgment, which is the thought that you are being ignored. The great Roman emperor, Marcus Aurelius, lived a life of immense pressure and frequent betrayal. Yet he practiced this discipline every day. He reminded himself that our pain often comes from our own labels rather than the truth. He wrote in his personal journal, which we now know as the Meditations, Book 4, Chapter 7, the following words: "Remove the judgment, and you have removed the thought. Iam hurt, remove the thought. Iam hurt, and the hurt itself is removed." He understood that the hurt is not in the silence of the other person. The hurt is in our own internal narrator saying, "I am being mistreated." By removing that sentence, the sting of the situation disappears. We return to the truth, which is simply that a message has not yet been answered. You can apply this specifically when you find yourself overthinking a conflict at home or a perceived slight from a friend. When the mind begins to spiral into old regrets or modern anxieties, stop and ask yourself if you are looking at a fact or a judgment. If a friend forgot your birthday or a neighbor did not wave back, that is a fact. If you decide they did it because they no longer respect you, that is a judgment. You do not have to give your assent to that judgment. You can choose to leave the door closed. By doing this, you keep your inner sanctuary clean and quiet. You stop being a victim of how others choose to behave and start being the author of your own tranquility. Whatever your faith or background, this practice of mental clarity honors the wisdom and patience you have gathered over a lifetime. To help you master this, here is a practical exercise you can start today. It is called the 24-hour fact check. For the next 24 hours, whenever you feel a flash of irritation, sadness, or worry, I want you to perform a simple mental audit. Stop what you are doing for exactly 60 seconds. During this minute, state only the bare, physical facts of the situation out loud or in your mind. For example, if a family member is late for a visit, do not say they are being disrespectful of my time. Instead, say, the clock shows 4:30, and the guest has not arrived. Do not allow yourself to add a second sentence. If the car will not start, say, the engine is not turning over. Do not add, this is a disaster for my day. By sticking only to the facts for 24 hours, you will begin to see how much of your daily stress is actually optional. You will find that when you strip away the labels, life becomes much lighter and easier to manage. Practice this throughout the day, especially during those quiet moments when the mind tends to wander toward worry. It takes time to break the habit of a lifetime, but each time you catch a judgment and set it aside, you are strengthening your mental sovereignty. You are proving to yourself that your peace is not for sale. It does not depend on a ringing phone, a polite neighbor, or a perfect day. It depends only on your choice to stay with the truth and refuse the stories that hurt you. This is the path to true mental strength and a steady heart. If this lesson resonates with your journey today, please take a moment to share your commitment with our community. In the comments section, please type the following sentence to anchor this thought in your mind. My peace is my power. Repeating this simple truth helps you remember that you are the gatekeeper of your own mind. The second foundation for a steady mind is the discipline of judgment. This is the understanding that what another person says or does is a reflection of their own character, not a stain on your own soul. The Stoic teachers believe that each of us possesses an inner citadel, a fortress that can never be broken from the outside. People may throw stones at the walls, but they cannot enter unless we open the gate. In this philosophy, a betrayal or a harsh word is seen as an error made by the other person. They have acted out of ignorance or a lack of self-control, because their actions are not within your power to change. The Stoics taught that these actions should not be allowed to disturb your internal tranquility. You are responsible only for your own integrity. When you truly realize that someone else's unkindness is their burden to carry, you find a level of freedom that nothing in this world can take away. This principle is especially difficult to follow in our modern lives. After a lifetime of service to your family, your community, or your career, you have built a reputation that you value deeply. When someone speaks to you with disrespect, or when you feel betrayed by a peer you once trusted, it feels as though they are erasing your hard-earned dignity. We live in a culture that thrives on social proof and the opinions of others. In an age of social media and constant gossip, a single unkind comment can feel like a direct attack on your legacy. For many of us, being understood and respected is a primary source of comfort. When that respect is withheld, it is natural to feel a sense of outrage or deep sorrow. We often spend hours or even days playing back the conversation in our minds, wondering how they could be so cruel or why they failed to see our worth. We let their mistake become our misery. Let us look at a situation that many people find deeply painful. Imagine a long-time friend, someone you have shared years of memories with, speaks unfairly about your character to someone else. Perhaps they criticized a decision you made years ago, or they spoke poorly of your family behind your back. When you find out, the sense of betrayal is sharp. You feel a heat in your chest and a racing mind. You might start to question the entire friendship. You might feel the urge to call them and defend yourself, or perhaps to say something equally hurtful in return. In that moment, your peace has been stolen. You are no longer living your own life. You are living in the shadow of their unkindness. Your dignity feels fragile, as if it depends entirely on what this one person says about you in the dark. The Stoic teacher Epictetus had a profound way of looking at this. He was born into slavery and spent much of his life being treated as if he had no value at all. Yet, he discovered that even a slave could be freer than an emperor if he mastered his own judgments. Epictetus taught that words cannot touch the soul unless we permit them to enter. He famously said, "It is not he who reviles or strikes you, who insults you, but your opinion that these things are insulting." This is a powerful shift in perspective. He believed that the insult does not exist in the words spoken by the friend. The insult only exists if you agree that those words have the power to harm who you are. If you remain grounded in your own virtue, their words are simply noise. They have made a mistake in judgment, but you do not have to make the mistake of letting it hurt you. Their error is their own. Your peace remains your own. You can apply this wisdom when you find yourself overthinking a conflict with a neighbor, a sibling, or a former colleague. It is particularly helpful when you feel the sting of being left out or misunderstood. If you find yourself losing sleep over what someone else thinks of you, Remind yourself that you are not responsible for their perception. You are only responsible for being a person of character. If they cannot see that, it is a loss for them, not a tragedy for you. By refusing to defend yourself against every shadow, you save an incredible amount of energy. You stay focused on the present moment and the people who truly deserve your attention. To help you put this into practice, here is a simple technique called the Shield of Three. The next time you hear a hurtful comment or feel the sting of a betrayal, I want you to pause for exactly 3 seconds before you react. During those 3 seconds, ask yourself these 3 questions in order. Step number 1. Is the person who said this perfect? If they are not perfect, then their judgment is flawed and does not define the truth. Step number 2. Can these words change my actual history or the good things I have done? The answer will always be no. Your past is secure. Step number 3. Is my character still intact in this very moment? If you have not responded with malice, then your virtue is still whole. If the answer to that third question is yes, then the insult has failed to reach you. It has bounced off the shield of your own self-respect. Practice this Shield of Three whenever you feel your peace being threatened by the opinions of others. It takes only a few moments, but it can save you from a day of bitterness. You will find that as you use this shield, you become less reactive and more compassionate. You realize that people who lash out are often in pain themselves. You can look at them with a sense of calm understanding rather than anger. Your dignity is not something that others give to you. It is something you maintain within yourself through the quiet strength of your own judgment. As we conclude this reflection on your inner dignity, I invite you to commit to your own tranquility. It is time to stop letting the mistakes of others determine your emotional state. You have a fortress within you that is built on years of experience and integrity. Do not hand over the keys to anyone who does not respect the sanctuary you have built. If you feel ready to stand firm in your own worth, please share that intention with us in the comments section below. Please type this short affirmation to remind yourself of your inner strength. My dignity is within. By writing these words, you are telling yourself that you are the only one who decides your value. The third foundation for a lasting peace is the concept of amor fati, or the love of one's fate. This is the profound practice of accepting the natural cycle of life, including the process of aging and the events of our past, without bitterness or resentment. The Stoics viewed the universe as a vast, interconnected whole, where every change is part of a larger, necessary design. They taught that fighting against the natural passage of time is like a leaf trying to swim against a mighty river. It only leads to exhaustion and suffering. Instead, the Stoic teachers encouraged us to see each stage of life as having its own unique beauty and purpose. Acceptance does not mean giving up. It means acknowledging the reality of the present moment so that we can live with dignity. When we embrace our journey, including the scars and the gray hairs, we find a deep sense of power. We realize that our worth is not tied to a youthful body, but to a mature and resilient soul that has weathered many storms. This principle is incredibly difficult to practice in our modern world. We live in a culture that is obsessed with youth and constant improvement. Every day, we are bombarded with messages telling us that aging is something to be feared, hidden, or fixed. This creates a deep sense of anxiety as we notice changes in our strength or our appearance. Furthermore, the modern mind is often trapped in a cycle of regret. We look back at our younger years and say, I should have taken that chance, or I should have stayed in that relationship. This overthinking creates a ghost of a life that never happened. And that ghost haunts our actual life today. For those of us who have lived many decades, the weight of these what-ifs can feel overwhelming. We may feel a sense of loss for the status or energy we once had. We struggle to accept that the past is a closed book. And in doing so, we miss the quiet beauty of the life we are living right now. Let us consider a situation that many of us face as the house grows quiet in the evening. Imagine you are sitting in your favorite chair, perhaps feeling the dull ache of a stiff joint or a chronic injury. You find yourself looking at old photographs or simply staring into the distance. Thinking about a decision you made 30 years ago, you wonder how different your life would be if you had chosen a different career or lived in a different city. This spiral of regret begins to pull you away from the warmth of your current home and the people who still care for you. The ache in your body starts to feel like a tragedy rather than a natural part of a life well lived. In this moment, you are at war with your own history and your own nature. Your peace is sacrificed to a past that no longer exists and a future that you cannot perfectly control. The Stoic philosopher Seneca spent much of his life observing the human struggle with time and the fear of decline. He was a man of great experience who understood that true contentment cannot be found in chasing a younger version of ourselves. He believed that the past is indifferent because it is no longer within our power to change. What matters is how we stand in the present. Seneca wrote in his letters that have comforted people for centuries the following: Truth. True happiness is to enjoy the present, without anxious dependence upon the future, not to amuse ourselves with either hopes or fears, but to rest, satisfied with what we have. He understood that by constantly hoping for a better past or fearing a diminished future, we lose the only thing we actually possess, which is this very breath. To rest satisfied does not mean to be lazy. It means to acknowledge that your journey has brought you here for a reason, and that this moment is enough. You can apply this wisdom when you are dealing with chronic health issues or the challenges of being a caregiver for a loved one. It is also a powerful tool when you feel the pangs of loneliness or the hoi-tic, that deep regret of the later years. When these feelings arise, remind yourself that your current situation is the raw material of your philosophy. If you are facing physical limitations, do not see them as a punishment. See them as a new environment in which to practice patience and courage. If you are feeling the weight of the past, remind yourself that your mistakes were the lessons that built the person you are today. By accepting your fate, you stop being a victim of time and start being a master of your own perspective. You find that tranquility is possible in any season of life, regardless of your health or your history. Whatever your faith, this path of acceptance is a way to honor the life you were given, to help you move from regret to peace. I invite you to practice a simple daily routine called the Legacy Minute. It is a very effective way to ground yourself each evening before you sleep. Set aside exactly 5 minutes at the end of your day. Sit quietly and follow these 3 steps. Step number 1. Acknowledge one physical discomfort or change you felt today without using the word bad. Simply say, I felt the stiffness in my hands, and I am still here. This is a fact of nature. Step number 2. Recall one difficult moment from your past that used to cause you regret. Instead of thinking, what if? Say to yourself that the event is finished. It belongs to the universe now. Step number 3. List 3 things that your past self survived. Remind yourself that the person who showed that strength and endurance is still alive inside you right now. You are the living design, the living legacy of every challenge you have ever faced. By doing this for 5 minutes every night, you stop fighting with your fate and start loving it. You will find that your sleep becomes more peaceful and your heart becomes lighter. You are not losing yourself to age. You are refining yourself into a person of true wisdom and dignity. Each day is not a subtraction from your life, but an addition to your story. If you are ready to let go of the weight of the past and find peace in your journey, I invite you to join our community in this commitment. In the comments section below, please type this short affirmation to anchor your spirit in the present. I am at peace with my journey. Let these words remind you that your life is exactly where it needs to be, and you have the strength to meet it with a smile. To live a life of tranquility, we must learn to apply Stoic wisdom to the very moments that test us the most. Let us look at 2 specific situations that many of us face daily. The first situation involves the people we live with and the conflict that can arise at home. The core principle here is the understanding that you are not an extension of someone else's mood. The Stoics believed that our minds should be like a steady flame that continues to burn brightly, even when the wind blows hard around it. When someone close to you is irritable, loud, or ungrateful, it is very easy to feel that your own peace has been attacked. However, the Stoics taught that their behavior is a reflection of their own internal struggle, not a requirement for you to suffer. You have the power to remain calm, regardless of the emotional state of those around you. In our modern lives, this is particularly difficult because our homes are meant to be our sanctuaries. When a spouse, a housemate, or a visiting family member is grumpy or critical, we feel that our safe space has been violated. Because we care deeply for these people, we often absorb their stress as if it were our own. We think that by being upset alongside them, we are showing empathy, or they feel that their anger is a direct reflection of our own failings. This emotional contagion is a heavy burden. It turns a simple morning into a long day of tension. We forget that we can be compassionate without being crushed by their negativity. We lose sight of the fact that their internal weather does not have to become our own. Let us look at an illustration that many will find familiar. Imagine you are in the kitchen, preparing a simple breakfast and enjoying the morning light. A family member walks in, visibly upset. They complain about the noise, the clutter, or a bill that arrived in the mail. Their tone is sharp, and their words are heavy with frustration. Immediately, you feel your own heart rate increase. You feel the urge to defend yourself or to snap back in anger. The peaceful morning you were enjoying seems to vanish. In this moment, you are tempted to let their storm enter your mind and wreck your calm. This is a fictional but very common scene where our tranquility is held hostage by someone else's bad mood. The Stoic teachers had a very clear way of handling such moments. Marcus Aurelius, who dealt with difficult advisors and angry citizens every day, would begin his mornings by preparing his mind. He wrote in his journal, which is known as the Meditations, Book 2, Chapter 1, the following words. Begin the morning by saying to yourself, I shall meet with the busybody, the ungrateful, arrogant, deceitful, envious, and unsocial. All these things happen to them by reason of their ignorance of what is good and evil. He understood that when people are irritable, it is because they are confused or in pain. He did not take their behavior personally. He realized that their errors could not touch his own character unless he allowed them to. He chose to see their irritability as a storm passing outside his window. He would tell himself a phrase that we can all use: "Their storm is not my weather. Their storm is not my weather." To practice this at home, try the 10-second barrier. The next time someone you live with speaks to you in a sharp or unfair tone, do not respond immediately. Instead, look at a physical object in the room, like a clock or a picture on the wall, and count to 10 very slowly. During these 10 seconds, say to yourself, "This is their struggle, not mine." Then, respond with a calm and steady voice, or, if necessary, choose to say nothing at all. By creating this 10-second barrier, you prevent their fire from jumping to your house. You remain the master of your own emotional climate. You will find that when you do not feed their anger with your own, the conflict often fades much faster. The second situation where we must apply Stoic wisdom is when we are overthinking the future. The principle here is the ability to distinguish between a fact and a ghost. The Stoics were very clear that the future does not yet exist, and therefore it cannot harm us unless we allow it to haunt our present through worry. Many of the things we fear are simply stories our minds create to try to feel in control. We spend our energy fighting battles that may never happen, leaving us exhausted for the actual life we are living right now. This is a great challenge today because we are constantly fed news and information that encourage us to worry about what is coming next. Whether it is health, finance, or the state of the world. Our modern culture thrives on keeping us in a state of anxious anticipation. For those of us in our later years, this worry often centers on our independence or our physical well-being. We play out scenes of decline or loss in our minds, and we feel the pain of those scenes as if they were happening today. We become trapped by these ghosts of the future, forgetting that we have already survived every difficult day of our past. Consider this illustration. Imagine you have a routine doctor's appointment scheduled for next week. It is a standard checkup, but your mind begins to wander. You start to imagine bad news. You think about the tests, the possible results, and how your life might change for the worse. By the time the appointment arrives, you have already lived through a week of high stress and sleepless nights. The worry has stolen 7 days of your life. In this case, the doctor's appointment is the fact, but the tragedy you built around it is a ghost. It is an impression that has no right to your assent. The philosopher Seneca wrote extensively about this type of mental suffering. He noticed that humans often torture themselves with possibilities that never come to pass. In his letters to his friend Lucilius, he wrote, "There are more things, Lucilius, likely to frighten us more than there are to crush us. We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." He understood that our fears are often louder than the actual events. He taught that we should meet the future with the same strength we use to meet the present. If a problem has not arrived, it is not your problem yet. By staying grounded in what is happening right now, you deprive the ghosts of their power. To practice this, use the fact or ghost audit. Whenever you feel the weight of worry about the future, take a piece of paper or use a quiet moment of reflection for 5 minutes. Divide your thoughts into 2 categories. Step number 1. Identify the facts. A fact is something that is happening right now. Zuches, I have an appointment on Monday. Step number B. Identify the ghosts. A ghost is anything that begins with the words, what if? For example, what if the news is bad? Or what if I cannot handle it? Step number 3. Consciously choose to release the ghosts. Tell yourself, I will deal with the facts when they arrive. Right now, I am safe. I am safe in this moment. I am safe in this moment. Repeat this sentence to yourself until your heart rate slows down. You will find that when you stop feeding the ghosts, they eventually disappear, leaving you with the clarity to handle whatever actually comes your way. As we finish this reflection, let us remember that tranquility is not something that happens to us. It is something we create through these small, daily choices. Whether you are facing a difficult person at home or a fearful thought about tomorrow, you have the tools to remain steady. You are the master of your ascent. If you feel ready to protect your mind from these external storms and internal ghosts, please share your commitment with us in the comments below. Please type this short affirmation to anchor your peace. My peace is my power. The final foundation for a life of tranquility is the commitment to consistent practice. The Stoic teachers believed that philosophy is not a library of books to be read, but a set of tools to be used every day. They called this training, or ascesis. It is the understanding that mental strength is like a muscle. It grows only when it is tested and exercised. The principle behind this blueprint is the development of prosoche, which means constant attention to your own thoughts. By dedicating a small amount of time each day to specific mental exercises, you build a fortress that protects you from the unpredictable storms of life. You move from being a person who reacts to the world to a person who responds with wisdom. This training allows you to maintain your dignity and your calm. Regardless of what the day brings, it is a journey of becoming the steady master of your own internal kingdom. In our modern world, this type of steady training is very difficult to maintain. We live in a society that values speed, instant results, and constant entertainment. We are often distracted by our devices, the endless cycle of news, and the pressures of daily chores. We tend to look for quick fixes for our stress rather than building the long-term habits that prevent stress from taking root. For many of us who have spent years taking care of others, we may feel that we do not have the time or the right to focus on our own mental training. We have become accustomed to reacting to the needs of everyone else while leaving our own inner sanctuary neglected. This high-velocity lifestyle makes our minds soft and easily disturbed by small inconveniences. Without a structured plan, our good intentions often fade away by the end of a busy morning. Consider this illustration of a typical week. Imagine starting your Monday with a firm resolve to be peaceful. By Tuesday, a difficult phone call from a relative leaves you feeling drained. By Wednesday, a minor health ache makes you anxious about the future. By Thursday, the news on the television makes you feel that the world is spiraling out of control. By the weekend, you feel exhausted and defeated, waiting for things to change so that you can finally feel at peace. This is a fictional but very real cycle for many people. It happens because we are waiting for the world to be quiet before we decide to be still. The Stoic blueprint reverses this. It teaches you how to be still so that the noise of the world no longer matters. Marcus Aurelius lived a life filled with constant noise and massive responsibility. He knew that if he did not intentionally train his mind, his spirit would become stained by the chaos around him. He wrote a profound reminder to himself in his journal, which is known as the Meditations. Book 5, Chapter 16. He wrote the following words: "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." He understood that our character and our peace are the direct results of what we choose to dwell upon. If we spend our week dwelling on insults and worries, our soul becomes dark and heavy. If we spend our week training our minds to see the truth and focus on our own virtue, our soul becomes bright and steady. The 7-Day Blueprint is a way to ensure that you are dyeing your soul with the colors of tranquility and strength. You can apply this blueprint when you are feeling a lack of direction or when you feel that your emotions are leading you instead of you leading them. It is particularly helpful during seasons of transition, such as retirement or when dealing with a change in your household. By following a structured plan, you give your mind a clear set of instructions. This reduces overthinking because you no longer have to wonder how to handle a difficult moment. You simply apply the lesson for that day. It is a way to reclaim your sovereignty over your time and your energy. Whether you are a person of deep faith or someone looking for practical wisdom, this week of training honors the life you have lived and the person you are becoming. To help you build this inner strength, here is a detailed 7-Day Tranquility Blueprint. I encourage you to listen to this section several times and perhaps write down the goal for each day. Day number 1. Practice the silence of judgment. For 12 hours today, your goal is to describe everything that happens without using the words good or bad. If it rains, say it is raining. If a neighbor is loud, say the neighbor is making noise. Do not label the events. Notice how much energy you save when you stop judging the world. Day number 2. Release resentment. Identify one person from your past or present who has offended you. Spend 5 minutes telling yourself that their mistake is their burden to carry. It does not belong to you. Say to yourself, "I release the weight of their error. I release the weight of their error." Day number 3. Perform a voluntary hardship. Choose one small comfort to go without today. Perhaps you drink your tea without sugar, or you sit on a firm chair instead of a soft one. This reminds you that you are easy to please and that your happiness does not depend on luxury. You are stronger than your comforts. Day number 4. The view from above. Spend 10 minutes looking at a map of the world or looking up at the stars at night. Imagine your house, your city, and your life from very high up. Realize that your current worry is a speck in a vast and beautiful universe. This perspective brings a deep sense of relief. Day number 5. The body as a tool. Spend 5 minutes in front of a mirror or sitting quietly. Instead of looking at what has changed or what hurts, thank your body for what it can still do. Thank your eyes for seeing this day, your ears for hearing this wisdom, and your mind for its ability to think. Sigh. My body is a tool for my spirit. Day number 6. Practice the pause. For every piece of news you hear or every message you receive today, wait exactly 10 seconds before you respond. Use those 10 seconds to breathe and remind yourself that you are the master of your Assent. Day number 7. Review and affirm. Spend 15 minutes reflecting on the past week. Notice which days were the most difficult and which lessons brought you the most peace. Acknowledge that you have survived the week with more intention and dignity by following this blueprint. You are not just thinking about philosophy, you are living it. You will find that by the end of the week, the things that used to upset you no longer have the same power. You are dyeing your soul with the colors of resilience. This is the work of a lifetime, but it begins with a single week of commitment. If you are ready to begin this 7-day journey to a more peaceful mind, please share your intent with our community in the comments section below. Please type this short affirmation to seal your commitment. I build my inner strength. By writing these words, you are acknowledging that your peace is a project that you are leading with wisdom and grace. The final foundation for a life of lasting tranquility is the establishment of a morning and evening routine. The Stoic teachers believed that the mind is like a house that must be swept and organized every day. They viewed the morning as a time of preparation and the evening as a time of reflection. This creates a rhythm of life that protects your spirit from being caught off guard by the chaos of the world. The principle behind these routines is that your peace is not a lucky accident. It is a deliberate creation. By setting your intention in the morning and reviewing your actions in the evening, you stay in the driver's seat of your own character. You no longer wander through the day as a victim of chance. Instead, you move with a sense of purpose and dignity that comes from knowing you are living according to your highest values. This steady habit honors the wisdom you have gathered over a lifetime and provides a solid structure for each new day. In our modern world, establishing these quiet bookends to the day has become remarkably difficult. Most of us wake up to the sound of a noisy alarm or the glare of a television. Our first thoughts are often pulled toward the urgent news of the world or the immediate demands of our family and our health. We begin our days in a state of reaction, jumping from one fire to another before we have even had a moment to breathe. By the time the evening arrives, we are often too exhausted to do anything but sit in front of a screen until we fall asleep. This lack of structure means that our worries and our regrets follow us from one day to the next, building up like dust in a room that is never cleaned. We lose the chance to learn from our mistakes and to prepare for future challenges. Without these morning and evening gates, our inner peace is easily stolen by the first difficult person or stressful headline we encounter. Let us look at an illustration that highlights the difference these routines can make. Imagine two versions of a Friday morning. In the first version, you wake up and immediately check your phone for news or messages. You see a story that makes you feel anxious and a text from a relative that feels demanding. Your mood is set before you even leave your bedroom. You spend the rest of the day feeling irritated and rushed. In the second version, you sit quietly for 10 minutes with your morning tea or coffee. You acknowledge that today will bring challenges, but you decide beforehand that your peace is your own choice. When that same demanding text arrives later, you are not surprised. You have already prepared your mind to meet it with a steady heart. At the end of the day, instead of simply collapsing into bed with your worries, you take 5 minutes to ask what you did well and where you can improve. This person ends the week with a sense of growth and calm, while the first person ends the week feeling drained and defeated. The Stoic teachers were very specific about how to guard these morning and evening gates. Marcus Aurelius, despite being the leader of the world's most powerful empire, began every single day with a mental rehearsal. He understood that his peace was his own responsibility. He wrote in his journal, which is known as the Meditations, Book 2, Chapter 1, the following words: When you wake up in the morning, tell yourself, The people I deal with today will be meddling, ungrateful, arrogant, dishonest, jealous, and surly. They are like this because they cannot tell good from evil. But I have seen the beauty of good and the ugliness of evil, and I know that none of them can hurt me. This was not a negative thought. It was a way of stripping the power away from difficult events before they happened. By expecting the world to be imperfect, he remained perfectly calm when those imperfections appeared. For the evening, the philosopher Seneca provided a beautiful framework for reflection. He was a man who lived through great political turmoil and personal danger, yet he found tranquility by reviewing his soul every night. In his writing titled On Anger, Book 3, Chapter 36, he described his own routine. He wrote that when the light was taken away and his wife had fallen silent, he would examine his entire day and go over what he had done, and said, hiding nothing from himself and passing over nothing. He would ask his soul, what evil have you cured today? What vice have you resisted? In what respect are you better? He believed that this gentle review allowed him to sleep with a clear conscience. It turned every mistake into a lesson and every success into a reason for gratitude. He did not judge himself with cruelty, but with the kindness of a wise teacher helping a student. You can apply this routine when you are feeling overwhelmed by the news or when you are navigating a difficult season in your relationships. It is a powerful tool for those dealing with overthinking or the hoi-tic, that deep regret of the past. When you prepare in the morning, you give yourself a shield. When you reflect in the evening, you give yourself a sense of closure. This practice bridges the gap between your philosophy and your daily life. Whether you are a person of deep faith or a seeker of practical wisdom, these routines honor the sacredness of your time. They remind you that while you cannot control the world, you are the master of the sanctuary that exists within your own heart. To help you establish this for yourself, I invite you to follow this simple daily sanctuary routine. You can begin this today, starting with your next evening reflection. Step number 1. The morning preparation. While you are having your first cup of tea or coffee, do not check the news or the phone. Sit quietly and say these words slowly to yourself. Today, I will meet difficult people and difficult news. I will remember that my peace is a choice I make, not a gift they give. I am ready for whatever this day brings. Spend exactly 3 minutes breathing with this thought. Step number 2. The evening reflection. Just before you turn off the light at night, sit on the edge of your bed for 5 minutes. Ask yourself 3 simple questions. First, what did I do well today? Celebrate even a small moment where you chose patience or kindness. Second, where did I let a judgment slip through? Identify a moment where you felt hurt or angry and realized it was a story you told yourself. Third, how will I be kinder to my spirit tomorrow? Decide on one small way to protect your peace when the sun rises. Step number 3. The closing breath. Take one deep breath and say to yourself, the day is finished. It belongs to the universe now. I am at rest. By practicing these quiet bookends, you will find that the middle of your day becomes much more steady. You are dyeing your soul with the colors of wisdom and resilience every single day. You are proving that your dignity is not a reaction to the world, but a constant state of your own heart. This is how we build a life of true tranquility. One morning and one evening at a time. If you are ready to reclaim the gates of your day and protect your inner peace, Please share your commitment with our community. In the comments section below, please type this short affirmation to anchor your spirit. I am the master of my peace. By writing these words, you are telling yourself and the world that you are no longer a victim of circumstances. You are a practitioner of wisdom. We began our journey today by speaking about the silence of a phone that does not ring, or the quiet feeling of being overlooked as the years pass. We looked at how a great leader like Marcus Aurelius refused to let his mind be hurt by the labels he placed on his own life. The great lesson we can draw from these ancient teachers is that peace is not something you find out in the world. Peace is something you build by being a careful gatekeeper of your thoughts. You have the power to decide what gets to live in your mind. Use that power wisely. Your tranquility is a deliberate choice. It is a sanctuary you build for yourself. One thought at a time. As you move forward into your week, remember the tools we have explored. Whether you follow the 7-day Tranquility Blueprint or use the morning and evening sanctuary routine, these practices are here to serve you. They are a way to honor the dignity and the wisdom you have gathered over your long journey. Whatever your personal faith may be, may these reflections help you find the stillness that resides in a grateful and steady heart. You are not alone on this path of self-mastery. We are all learning to meet the world with grace and inner strength. Before we conclude, I would love to hear from you. I invite you to share one small commitment you will make today. Perhaps you will wait 10 seconds before reacting to a difficult message. Perhaps you will practice the legacy minute tonight to let go of an old regret. Please share your small commitment in the comments below. After you have done that, if these words brought you a moment of calm, I invite you to join our community by subscribing and sharing this video with a friend who might be feeling lonely or overwhelmed today. Your support helps us continue to share this quiet wisdom with those who need it most. Please remember that these ideas are shared for reflection and personal growth, and they are not a substitute for professional mental health support. This content is for philosophical reflection and is not a substitute for professional medical or mental health advice. If you are going through something heavy, or if you are struggling with your well-being, please reach out to someone you trust or a qualified professional. Please consult a professional for your health needs. Thank you for spending this quiet time with us. You have the strength within you to handle whatever this day brings. Stay calm. Stay intentional. Peace be with you. To anchor your commitment to your inner peace, please type this final affirmation in the comments section. I build my inner sanctuary.